Are you ready? Yes. Okay. So, hello everyone. Most of the developers have that dream to come up with an idea and build a product on top of that which people love and then create a startup with that and become millionaire. I think it's really familiar to a lot of people. We heard that story 100 times. Who would have thought that a quiet, modest guy who just came up with the idea that he wanted to share some status updates and some short messages with his friends will become a multi-billion-dollar company, which have been called Twitter. Another example, like a chat application, which has this really silly and stupid idea that the messages, what you write, will vanish in just a few seconds. Snapchat will be a $30 billion company in just 6 years. I am no different. I also had these kind of dreams. But here comes the reality. So 9 out of 10 startups are destined to fail. And it's even worse because from all the successful ones, only 1 out of 100 will become unicorn. Those companies which will reach the $1 billion valuation. Still, though I usually play in the safe side, after 17 years in software development, I took my bet on a startup. So, hello everyone, I am András Fincza, or Draven, how people usually call me. I was an entrepreneur for a year and a co-founder of a startup called Race. Together with my friends, we built a really special product. Our users loved it. There were people who paid for that. It was from technical perspective, it was really incredible, and yet we failed. Today, I'd like to share you our story and hope it will inspire you. And if you want to have the same journey, I really hope that it will help you to avoid the same outcome we faced. Like every startup, we started with an idea. We saw that a lot of non-professional sport events, there are a lot of non-professional sport events which deserve to have more attention. But there is no broadcast crew who would just live broadcast these events because, there is not enough money in that. But what if you are a family member, a relative, a friend, or just someone who is really getting to these sports? And if you are really lucky, you will get some photos from these events, but not a live broadcast. And with the rise of mobile phones, with better reception, with 5G, and people already on the track recording the racers and so on, we saw an opportunity. And we imagined a platform which anyone can use to stream their videos, and our platform will create a TV-like high-quality live broadcast from their shots. And we were also thinking that with the usage of AI, we can identify the runners, we can make leaderboards, we can just calculate a lot of data which is worth to show in these videos, and also the viewers can really customize their broadcast. To start, we started with running races and trail running races because our early product discovery found that these are the most frequent and popular ones. But you can ask, what is the business in that? We have 4 key personas to understand that. First one is the race organizer, then the runners and the fans, and lastly, the videographers. Videographers are those people who will record the race, and in lucky times, it could be random people, but for some time it will be people we will hire for the first times it will be people who we hire to record the race. But from business side, the most important thing is that any of the first 3 can be our customers. So if we aim to have the race organizers, that platform will be a B2B application. So we sell the platform to the race organizers so they can stream their races. And we can go further. So we can experiment with some kind of B2B2C model, which means that the race organizers can use our platform to just charge their runners and fans to use it. And obviously, there is the last one. So if we directly sell our application, our platform to the runners or the fans, then that will be a B2C application. And in our 1-year journey, we explored all these options and different combinations of these business models. But there was one thing for sure, what we knew is that we don't really want to go to the B2B way, partly because we were coming from the B2B company and we knew how much hassle it means to have a sales organization and so on. But most importantly, we thought that this platform could scale way better if we just aim to the end users and not the race organizers, who is a way smaller market, and also they have not that much money. So we decided to go with a B2C approach, and the only thing we needed from the race organizers were the consent that we can go and record the race. We thought that they will allow us to record the races, because then they can just provide some really great experience to their runners, so that's a pretty good thing. Also, we were thinking in some kind of revenue sharing model. And basically, this is how Xperi Race began. It began at around March 2023. All of us, all the founders, we came from the same company where we built and scaled a high-performant, agile software or product development organization. And with that, we knew that from business side, we are not really good, so we have some concerns and gaps. But from the product development side, we were really solid. We know how to develop software. This is what we did for 10 years. And I still believe we went into the right direction, mainly because we knew that most of the startups make the mistake that they overdevelop features, they solve problems which won't push them forward, or solve the wrong problems. So we were obsessed to avoid these problems. How to avoid that? First thing first is that if you develop any kind of product, you have to focus on the outcome, not just the outputs. Because it doesn't matter how many features you build if these features won't lead you to tangible results. And we thought we had a problem which are worth to solve and can make some money, but that was just a gut feeling. That was an assumption, so we needed to find out. So before implementing anything, and way before we created even the company, we made some early validations. And every validation has some important questions. You are trying to find the answer. Our questions was these: is this really a problem? Is there an audience for it? Would they pay for a solution? And for that to answer, what is the simplest test you can do? Our simplest test was to just grab some family members and friends and go to a race in Budapest with some mobile phones and recorded the race. After the race, we tried to create a broadcast-worthy video out of that. You may think that this is an unnecessary thing. This is really a silly validation why you would do that, but hear me out. This is a really important thing. There are really important lessons you can learn from these silly validations as well. For example, we just learned that using handheld cameras are way better than using stationary ones. So mobile phones will be great to create such shots from the races, because it has a motion, you can follow the runner and so on. So that's way better. On the other hand, that won't be too good if you are making recordings from the same spot over and over again, the same style. People will feel dizzy if they just see a broadcast like that. So this is something which we must tackle somehow during our time. And you can also find out other things like the vibe. So we really wanted to see how the runners react while we just recording them. And that was a really great thing, because we saw that they are really happy that people are recording them. So they just wave to the camera and so on. So that also passed. And lastly, this is really great to be on the field and feel how the vibe is. And also, it's really important to see whether you have the chemistry to your own product or not. And we had, so we moved on. That was the time when we started to test with real users. Ido, one of our friends, is a semi-professional trail runner from Austria, and he went to a race in Austria. So again, we gathered our friends, our family members, and went to Austria to his race and recorded. But this time, we created some kind of MVP. The MVP itself was just, we created a WhatsApp group, and we invited 40-something people to this WhatsApp group. Friends again, family members, also Instagram followers, fans of Ido, and so on. And you could see that this is a little bit closer to what we want. This is still really far. During the race, we manually did everything. So when a videographer saw Ido on the track, they manually sent us via Messenger or something the video, and we manually shared it with some data, with some manual predictions where Ido is on the track. We also generated a map to see where Ido is on the map. And that was amazing what we saw, because the people, the viewers in the WhatsApp group was really active and engaged. They really liked what they see. And they cheered Ido, even though they knew that Ido won't see it until the end of the race. After the race, we went to interviews with the viewers. We also sent out surveys, and we had really great feedback for the product. For this really dumb MVP, our NPS score was through the roof. And then in the upcoming weeks, we went forward with more and more validations, more and more runners. And because we started to stream multiple runners at the same time, we had to create some really dumb scripts to automate things like sharing videos in WhatsApp. Once we were confident that we really have a problem, a product which worth to develop and a problem which is worth to solve, we have viewers and we have people who would like to pay for that, we went and held an MVP week. The goal for such thing was to quickly build a basic platform for the basics of the platform and identify all the major technical challenges what we can have during our time. To do this, I invited 4 of my developer friends to this fun hackathon-like event, the MVP week, and we built the foundation. And that week was really, really amazing, because we knew from the former races we went in, which we already participated, we knew what we needed to focus on, so we knew what we should develop. And it's not surprising what we just did, or what we just started to focus on, because up to that point, the racer identification was really a manual thing. So either the back office people try to find one person in the videos, or the videographers next to the track try to spot certain runners and send their videos one by one. It was really hard, so we knew that our main challenge to solve somehow the runner identification. And that was also the most exciting part. Guess what? Because here we could use AI. And unfortunately, it turned out solving that kind of challenge, it's really simple, because we could use a simple OCR, so character recognition, and with just a few lines of code using an OCR API, we can send our videos and it will send back the bib numbers of the racers from the chest of the runners. So we just solved it in a few hours and we still had a week to do anything else. So in this MVP week, we went forward with that. We saved a lot of time with this simple OCR solution. We had 70% kind of precision for that, which was good enough for the first races. But the other things were still important. So we saw that we cannot really go forward with WhatsApp or similar chat applications, because you may know that these doesn't provide really good APIs. And also, they were really limited our user experience, what we can add to the runner. So we come up with developing our very own runner broadcast UI. And besides that, we created a simple mobile application where you can, which the videographers could use to send the video shots from the race to our server to auto identification. How it worked is that the videographers just did 5-10 seconds long shots from the runners in front of them. Then this application automatically uploaded it to our servers, where we just run the person or the runner identification. And then when we identified someone, we just added the video near real time to their runner broadcast, and also calculated some data predictions where they will be, show them on the map and so on. Though, at that point, and at the end of the MVP week, we didn't have a TV live broadcast, but with all these components together, we had a huge leap forward. So, in conclusion, I really love that, and I suggest you, if you develop any kind of products or build a startup, have such kind of on-site events, because these are really provide big steps in the product, but what is way better is that it will really kickstart your startup and it will inspire your team. On the upcoming months, we iteratively improve the platform. The plan was that until December, we will have this seed fundraising round, meaning to have the first investors. And until that, we will go forward with the validations and improve on the valuation of the company. We hired 2 more developers. Until December, we implemented the TV-like broadcast, which you can see there. That was really just a video reel which showed the upcoming videos coming in, and when we identified someone on them, then you could see the name of that person, the number, and you can also go to the runner's broadcast from this page. We also finalized the mobile application, and we created an administration UI to oversee the AI identification and help it as well. On the business side, we kept up with the validations. We went to the races every 2-3 weeks. We validated on different markets. So from now on, we didn't just go to Hungarian races, but to Austria, to the UK, and even to the US. We learned so much during this time that it would have been really dumb not to share it with you. One of the first things which I was really confident on, though these things just strengthened this thought in me, that simplification is really base of everything. Simplification is one of the most important and agile thing ever, and without that we couldn't get this far with the product. So, for example, through our time we just kept these short videos, because you can imagine, so such a product that would have been really natural to use a streaming solution for that, but we find out that using these small video clips, it's way easier to handle them, and we don't have to hustle with streaming servers, cutting streams, and so on, doing something with varying streaming quality. So that helped a lot. And on the other side, when we just created the TV-like broadcast out of these things, it turned out it's way easier to just create a really smooth broadcast by just layering the HTML5 videos, the shots on top of each other, and we also could really use some really fancy CSS animations on top of them, and it was really dynamic, so this is why you could just click on some person on the video. That was way easier than doing magic in the server side with FFmpeg and so on. Another thing is building on top of existing solution to progress better. This is really something which I advise to everyone in a startup, and not just in a startup, in every solution. If you are using existing services, libraries, I don't know, APIs, rather than reinventing them, it's really advised. Especially, I think, in 2024, you have everything developed already, so your only job as a developer is to get the proper tools and wire them together somehow. We also paid for all the services which just helped us and saved us some time, because in a startup like us, but maybe in a lot of other projects, time is more valuable than money. We chose GCP, Google Cloud Platform, as an infrastructure, because that was a familiar infrastructure. We worked with that. So instead of having a few days or weeks assessment on which is the best cloud to us, we just went with something which we knew. That also really helped us a lot. And what helped more is that we started to use hosted solutions, so Firestore, Firebase, Google Functions, BigQuery, and so on. We wanted to avoid operational overhead as much as we could, because we were not sure what we built. Basically, we spent no time on platform building or tooling. And one trick which I also want to share with you is apply for free credits on the cloud providers, because, oh boy, these people really like to support startups. So I think in our 1-year journey, we spent thousands of dollars, and we only pay for 100 or so. So with the simplification and using existing tools, we could really move fast. We avoided any scaling issues, and it was almost free, even with broadcasting hundreds of runners at the same time with and processing thousands of videos. The last thing is use AI productivity tool. We used a lot ChatGPT and Google Copilot, and these were really game changers for us. If you can learn to overcome their weaknesses, if you learn how to use them or for what to use them, that really helps a lot. We use them for small tasks, writing tests, specific methods, and scripts, a lot of scripts. I mean, I found myself writing scripts for everything. File transformations, trying out APIs, SDKs, anything. Because I always knew that I can scrape these scripts, so anytime I can regenerate them, I don't care. Just do it. I even used AI to AI analysis. So when I just wanted to compare the different AI recognition models, I had to write really long BigQuery queries, 5 pages long BigQuery queries. I couldn't do it without help of ChatGPT, for example, but I could, and I could pass this thing. And AI also helped us to build on technologies which we didn't really know. For example, build a mobile application in Flutter and in Dart, which we had no experience on that, and we also created the AI platform in Python, which we also lacked some experience, and yet we could really succeed with these. In the meantime, business side, things just started to slow down, but still we had successes. We started monetizing on the platform, so we started to charge runners, and even we had some races where we break even. That means that with the profit coming in from the racers, we could just pay all the videographers who we hired to record the race. That was really a great thing and a good sign. So it felt everyone loved our product. Organized reached out to us to broadcast their events, and we received great feedback from both the runners and the fans. But unfortunately, these successes completely blinded us. 2023 passed, and we struggled to find a good business model. We, as the founders, we just bootstrapped the company, and we said that we will finance it for 1 year until we just pass the seed round funding, but we just delayed it. So we pushed the investor outreach from December to January, from January to February. And when we finally reached out to the investors really seriously, then we realized that investors are not really like B2C products nowadays. So they think that these are too risky now, so they are really obsessed to go with B2B applications. So that was one thing. Maybe we could solve it somehow. But there was another realization that we had really hard times with the videographers and the managing videographers. We thought that we can build a platform like Uber, who just manages somehow their taxi drivers. But for the videographers, it seemed to be a really expensive problem to solve, so we had to give up on that, and we had to rely more and more on the race organizers and their volunteers, or us as a service to find some videographers, students, university students to go to the racetracks. And that was really a problem, because from the race organizers, it turned out that they don't want to have more burden on their shoulders. So they preferred us to be more of a service provider, where we handle everything, including with the videographers as well. So they considered us as a low-cost broadcast crew. And this was something we really want to avoid, as we really believe that it won't scale worldwide. On the last months of Expiry Race, we found a lead investor, and we found great prospects for the seed round. But unfortunately, by then, we lost faith that Expiry Race can be a sustainable business. We knew that we can deliver value to the runners, we can deliver value to the race, but we have to go with the B2B and the service model, which meant really small profit margins. At best, we can be a slow cockroach startup. And while we didn't aim to be a unicorn, this wasn't the path we wanted either. We were thinking, obviously, other business models or pivoting to someone, but we really struggled to come up with the next big idea to solve our product market fit problems. And honestly, it was too late. Even if we just pivot around when we acquire the seed investors, but if we are not believing in the current business, that would have been a bad move. So at June 2024, we decided to close the doors. Looking back, Expiry Race was a journey full of success and exciting possibilities. We built something people loved, we solved real problems, and we proved that we could deliver. But at the same time, we learned that building a great product doesn't automatically translate building a great business. We were obsessed to avoid the mistake of the other startups, but we just basically did the same. So, it's time to make some conclusions, isn't it? What you should learn from us? There were some things I really believe that we did for the good. First one, no matter how solid your product development is, always validate the business side equally. Do MVP tryouts as well, like the WhatsApp version of Experience what we make, because it can teach you a lot, and at least it will reveal if you have some vibe and buzz around your product. Do MVP weeks how we just did, because it really helped kickstarting your startup, your project, identifying technical challenges, and inspire the team and you. Simplify everything. Time is your most valuable resource, and not just simplify in the product side, but simplify the processes and practices as well. Use tools, services, APIs, anything you can. Pay for anything if it saves you time. Use AI services as well, so it's really helpful. Don't build infrastructure unless it's not super important. I really suggest to pay and use low-cost hosted platform services. Instead of that, you can go way faster with them and experiment with them than building your own infrastructure. And there were definitely something which I would do differently in the next time. Validate with customers. So I said validate a lot early, often, but we validated the wrong way. So in some cases, like in our case, the customers are not the same as the end user, and we validated with the end user. We improved the experience to the end user a lot, and we forgot to validate it with the race organizer who became our customers. So we just delayed understanding that the B2B business won't work in our case, it won't scale worldwide. Focus on minimum viable business instead of minimum viable product. Don't build features that don't support business sustainability, because with just one developer and with just 10% of the development and features what we made, we could have validated everything and maybe we would have pivoted in time. Address your weaknesses. So I think we just declined it for some time, that we have this weakness with the business side. So what I suggest is focus on the weaknesses. If we would just hire a strong sales or marketing person early on, if we would have brought in a skilled business person in the first months, I believe the outcome would have been different. Don't delay on the business side. Finding the right investor or business partner is really a crucial thing. Don't fear to give up on some equity to them, because they bring really fresh perspectives that you might be missing. Start those conversations early. And what you should mind, this is my last note here, improve instead of invent. Edison wasn't the first person to invent the light bulb, the telephone, or the movies. He improved on existing inventions and made these inventions viable businesses. Do you remember the example from the very start, Twitter and Snapchat? These were not new inventions. They just came up with silly ideas how to improve an existing thing. And it tended to be a really great business. We chose a complex, unproven business. And that's also a sign when you realize that no one else did a similar thing, when you just realize that you have no real competitor. First time, it seems that it's a really great thing that, oh, this is really a blank area. But just look at the signs. Inventing something new is much harder and riskier. That was a hell of a ride, but I still say, take risk and try it, but take the good risks. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. It taught me more than any job could ever do. So if you have an idea and you can afford it, go for it. Build it, validate it, test it, and don't be afraid to fail. Because even in failure, you will grow, learn, and improve, and prepare yourself for the next great thing. Thank you very much.